Welcome to the Lifeboat Live. We have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck. Good evening, everybody. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. On the other side of the glass, as always, is my partner and my friend, Captain Mark Wages. And tonight, I'm going to be looking at a very little screen. I wish you could see how small the chat is. I literally will need to go like this if I want to read it. So there's a good chance I'll be catching a little less of the chat than I normally do. I'm working on getting a laptop that has a much larger chat so that we can so that I can keep up with you, and it'll be a lot easier to communicate. So let's get right into it. I would be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about last night, because last night was an interesting night here on the lifeboat. First off, the individual in question, I think, is going to take a little time off from the boat, and I respect that, and I think that we probably all should. I don't think that his goal was to offend anyone. I really don't, and I'm not just giving him the benefit of the doubt, although I'm probably that kind of guy sometimes. But this is considerably more than that. This was one of those situations where, the drugs and alcohol do things to us that let's keep it real. It doesn't put us at our peak, right? I also want to apologize. I didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night. There was individuals that were doing that were popping back and forth, and they were individuals that were wanting to communicate. All right. There were people that wanted to communicate and to talk about some of the things that had happened. And you know what? Some of it was important and it needed to get done. Some of it, on the other hand, was a complete and utter waste of time, is what it is. There are some individuals, eventually, it is what it is. You're going to come across people that just don't fit in. And that's sad. There are people that just don't fit in. There are people for whom their political affiliation is more important than God. Their political affiliation is more important than their sobriety. And for those individuals, this isn't the place. It isn't. Sadly, because I would like to, and I know that Mark feels the same way, we'd like to help everybody. I don't care what your political affiliation is. We would like to help you get sober. We'd like to help you live your best life. However, if your ideology is more important than your sobriety, then there's probably not a lot of room for you here on the boat. And that's that's the way it goes. And from time to time, we're going to be in a position to get rid of people, and that sucks. But it is what it is. And the other option is allowing these individuals to offend people. Zenwen, thank you so much. I'm not going to let anybody offend people on the boat, right? If it's an accident, and there was one of those last night that was, Mark called somebody on it. That person, I know that person's heart, and that person had no intention of trying to offend anyone. And the comment that he made in his head really had something to do with him and nothing to do with you guys. But it didn't come out that way, and it certainly didn't come over well, right? But that's not who he is, and he's taking a little time off. In the meantime, he was doing some really sweet stuff today, and he's a good human being. He really is. I'll vouch for him. And I spoke with him, and I know where his heart is. So he'll be back, and we're going to treat him just the way he should be treated, right?
And if he's listening, again, if I misread something, I apologize for that. But when what was going on last night, and when that came across, I guess sometimes we just do what we do.
I'm not sure you misread it as much as he miswrote it, and I think that he would probably be willing to admit that.
I gotcha.
It was one of those situations that what he was trying to say was back on him. Gotcha. It was one of those. I wish I could BS it so that you guys wouldn't see who I really am. It wasn't you all are, but it didn't read that way. And sometimes we, especially if we've had a few, we think that what we've got in our head and what we get down on paper may not always be the same thing, and that can be unfortunate. Then there are people who just are downright cruel, and as we've talked about, there's not a lot of room for that on the lifeboat, and that individual you're never going to see again. Sorry, is what it is. They needed to be axed, and we are going to err on the side of the boat. We're always going to make sure that if we're going to make a mistake, it's going to be for the benefit of the boat. And if somebody's feelings get dinged along the way, it is what it is. One of the nice things about the way the Big Red Button sets stuff up is you can be a jackhat, you know what I mean? Like an ass wagon, and completely do what you do and be who you are. And we can kick you out of here, and you can still come and learn everything there is to learn. We're just not going to have to listen to the stupid things that you have to say. So we don't really banish people to the land of Nod. We just sort of make it so that we don't have to listen to them, right? We're not going to dwell on that tonight because there's important stuff to be talked about. And we are going to stick with the important stuff that needs to be talked about. But that needed to be said. Also, did you catch this? There's another shirt that the crew has sent that says, right? It says, this is Captain. And I really do appreciate it. I also got a beautiful mug that was delivered. I guess it was delivered yesterday, but I didn't see it until today. So I'm going to be drinking a little Java out of it. And it's just the beautiful sentiment. It really is. It says something along the lines of, you make a difference in the world, which is nice. And on the other side, it says, from time to time, you might forget that, that you are who you are. And this is a constant reminder. And with the amount of coffee I drink, it is a constant reminder. It really is, because I drink a lot of this stuff. So I'm not sure who sent this. It was not sent in such a way where I can tell, and that happens often. So thank you. I really appreciate it. And coffee tastes really good out of it. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about running. And you know what? Running is one of those subjects that lives on a whole lot of different areas, doesn't it? When you start to think about who you are and what you're doing, especially when it comes to sobriety, when you live your life addicted to drugs, you are running full time. You really are, right? It's the nature of the beast. You're running toward your drug of choice, or you're running away from your drug of choice. And that should be fairly obvious, right? That one jumps out at you. But there's so much more going on, because more than that, you have to make decisions about what you're going to do and how you're going to get sober. And there are ways that you can do that. We talked about how it's a mind, body, and a spirit thing. If you're going to make this work, it's mind, body, and it's soul, right? So if you find yourself in a pinch and you find yourself in one of those uncomfortable situations, we've really been beating the drum quite a bit around here lately about running to help, right? There are people out here that are quite willing to step up to the plate and do everything within their power to ensure that you get through whatever it is that's plaguing you. And it's about as kind as anything you're ever going to come across, right? You got to believe that. But are you running toward that, or are you running away from it? Because if you find yourself feeling like you're not feeling comfortable in your own skin, and as opposed to trying to reach out to people who can help you, you run in the opposite direction. And you know what the opposite direction is? Drugs. Honestly, it may not be instant, right? In some cases, people are going to run to their own devices. In other words, as opposed to reaching out and saying, "Let me tell you what's going on in my life," which is, what we really hope is going to happen, because there's a proven track record of how well that works. But that's not always what happens. A lot of times they run to themselves, and they pull everything inside, and they get really, really quiet, and they suffer in silence. And we know what happens, right? This begins to fester, and it begins to grow, and it begins to start talking you into the relapse process, which can happen in 2 minutes, it can happen in 2 weeks, it can happen in 2 years, but you're going in one direction or you're going in the other. So the question becomes, where are you running? And not a religious Joe, right? We say that how many times a day? Boy, we say that a lot, don't we? But it really is not a religious channel. But when you start talking about mind, body, and soul, the soul part is running toward your higher power. And for a lot of us, this really works. And for you atheists out there, trust and believe it works. You don't have to believe that there's actually anybody out there listening. That makes you feel better. Go ahead with that. But the studies that have been done on this have proven unequivocally that if you're running toward your higher power, then usually that is going to get you through those moments. And they really are just moments, people, right? You're not going to find yourself all in for 8 hours, right? Of just this gnawing away at you and gnawing away at you. And there are people out there right now going, "No, that's BS. Captain, man, sometimes it happens to me for 12 hours. Do you know why it happens to you for 12 hours? Because you allow it to happen to you for 12 hours. You are not running in the proper direction. If you start to feel uncomfortable in your own skin, where you run will determine how long you're going to feel that way. If you run into the arms of people who care about you, who are ready to give you a virtual hug and talk to you about what's going on in your life, it's never going to be 8 hours. It's probably not even going to be 8 minutes. If you pick up the phone or you reach out or you use any of the other methods, because obviously technology is making it so much easier. It is shrinking the world, especially if you can remember to keep your phone turned on. And I apologize if you tried to get a hold of me today. I did not turn my phone on after last night's live feed, the second live feed. I don't want it to ring while I'm doing what I'm doing, so I turn the ringer off, and then then I go to church in the morning, and I check over to make sure, because you don't want your church, your phone to ring during church. That's an embarrassment. So there's nothing worse than looking at the guy whose phone is ringing. And it's always a little bit humorous, because you can see that they're doing everything in their power to turn that ringer off as fast as possible. And they're going for every pocket, reaching on the inside. And they got that look on their face like, "Oh, I can't believe this is happening."
Daggers, baby, daggers.
Oh, man, right? The whole place is looking. And honestly, you know what they're all thinking? "Oh, thank God that wasn't my phone," right? Because it's happened to all of us.
Yeah.
It's got to be one of those things, though, that you get on really, really quickly to ensure that, that doesn't happen. But, to make sure that I'm not the jackwagon that does that, I make sure that the phone is turned off. And unfortunately, I did not turn it back on today. And I know that I missed a lot of calls from you. And I apologize, people. If you reached out and tried to call me today, I'm just an idiot. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I apologize. I did text with a lot of people, but, when you're texting, you don't need a tone. You text, you wait for it to come back, whatever the case may be. But the question becomes, where are you running, right? And think of all of the places that you can run. Because the obvious ones are, you can run to God, right? That's jumps right at the top. You can run to your higher power. If you do not believe in God, then your higher power becomes a lifeboat, right? Or a group of people who are sober, who are most assuredly a higher power than just you, right? A lot of people pulling for the same thing that you're pulling for is a higher power. So if you don't run to God, if you don't run to your higher power, you're probably going to be running in the opposite direction. And very often that's going to be running and getting high. And we've had a lot of people relapse in the last 7 to 9 days. And I think some of that is a hangover, so to speak. We got through the holidays, right? You got through that white knuckle, just this is awful, partial assembly required. You got to take care of your kids and all of the different things that we put up with during the holiday season. And if you're not running to the tools that are in place, right? All of them. Are you you're getting ready to go to bed at night and you've got that feeling, you've been uncomfortable in your skin all day long. Are you running toward a journal? Right? Or are you running to bed? Because if you run to bed and you don't take the time to dump everything that's in your head out of your head onto paper, then there's a real good chance that the things that have been bothering you all day long are now going to creep into your subconscious, and you're going to start having dreams. You're going to just be very uncomfortable, and it's going to get worse. So the question becomes, and it's one that you need to ask yourself constantly. This should become one of those things that you think about. And there's a million ways we can word this, right? But I like this one. What are you running toward? What are you running toward? If you find yourself hurting, the first thought should be your 5. And I'm getting emails. I ain't got a 5. Okay, you know what? All right, I understand that, right? This can be difficult. However, you're not trying. And I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm really not. But you're not trying. And you know how I know you're not trying? Because I read the comment section, right? And I read people who say, hey, I'm there for anybody, right? Reach out to me. I will be in your 5. I will talk to you. Just reach out to me. Do you know how many people have put that in our comment section in the last 3 shows? If you ain't got a 5, you're not looking for a 5. You're not. Sorry. You're not. Now, let's say you reach out and you're not getting all of the 5 that you want. Do you think that means that there's no chance for you? Do you think that means you can't get a hold of somebody? Go over to the Lifeboat page, type in where it says, got something you want to say, right? Type in, I'm hurting. And watch how many more than 5 are going to come to your aid. Watch how many people are going to step up to the plate to try to help you. Why? Because this is a coping mechanism for all of us, right? My trying to assist people in staying sober exactly the same way as it is for my partner, that is one of the most productive things that you can do to stay sober. It's going to remind you of the things that bothered you, right? It's going to clue you in to where you were. It's going to clue you into where you want to be. All of these things are absolutely essential. Now, there are people tonight who are running away from the boat. Plain and simple. And not because of things that happened in the last 2 days or whatever. If you've been on the boat for any length of time, you can think of videos of people that we did who were gung-ho. I mean, people that were ready to take on the world. They were going to get sober, and it was going to be right then. And then they start feeling that, you know what? It's not a magic bullet. They don't show up at the lifeboat, and we don't hand them the red pill and go, hey, swallow this one, and everything is going to be good. People, sobriety is an action word, right? It really is. It's something that you have to take an active participation in if you want to remain sober from one day to the next. There's no third way, right? You're either moving forward, you're moving backwards, or you gave up. Those are the 3 options. Even if you're moving backwards, people, even if you're going in the wrong direction, you always have an opportunity to hit the brakes and to turn this thing around. You really do. Where is your shelter? Where is the thing that is going to get you by? I have no problem whatsoever. The last couple of days were tough. We came in here and we talked about it. And you know what? For all of you who reached out that said, we're very concerned about you and Mark getting burned out, you missed the point of last night's show. You hear me? We're not going to get burned out. We're not. But we want everybody to know that there is a real necessity for what we're getting ready to do. And by that, I mean, we are going to be building a place for people to go to check out help, right? Instant help. You go, you walk in, you type, hey, I'm hurting, and someone is going to be there for you. It is, in theory, not intended to be your five. It's a stopgap. It's a place that you can go while you're figuring out who your five is going to be. And you're going to find that this entire process is how you're going to find your five, right? As you start to talk to these individuals and as you start to reach out and you start to communicate, coming here into the comment section and interacting with people here is going to give you a really good idea of who gels with you and who doesn't, right? Because we're not going to gel with everybody. But there are people who are coming here virtually every night and saying, I'm here for you, right? I'm here for you. I'm not trying to be a jerk. This is the last thing in the world I want to do is be a jerk or offend anyone or anything else. But if you don't have a five, right? Well, then maybe you got a three, right? You're in the process of building a five. Maybe you got a two, right? You haven't quite started to really get built up yet. But there's a couple of people that you can call. If you don't have a two, it's your fault. It's your fault. There are so many people here right now that want to help that the only way you don't have one is if you're going like this. Back up, back up. I don't want to let anybody in that close to me, right? I don't want anybody that close into my space because that makes me uncomfortable. You're going to fail. You're going to fail. It's plain and simple. This is minds considerably smarter than myself and my bobble-headed partner that have come up with these things. And we know that they work. It is an absolute, undisputable fact that getting this stuff off your chest, if you feel some kind of way, then talk about it. And it doesn't have to be drug-related, right? It doesn't have to be drug-related at all. This is one of the things that I think people don't get. It can be the silliest crap in the entire world. So I went out today, tried to mow my lawn, couldn't get the lawnmower to start. And it absolutely was driving me crazy. And I started gritting my teeth. Guess what? That's not good. When you start feeling stresses that normal, air quotes, people feel every day. The lawnmower gives you hell, and maybe you go and get a little of that gas stuff that you spray in there that's supposed to get the carburetor to fire right over. That doesn't work. And then you find yourself really starting to get frustrated. Frustration is a reason to reach out. I can't think of a reason that's not a reason to reach out. For real. You've been after the same mate, right? You're a girl and there's just this guy that you think is the greatest thing in the whole world. And for a really long time, right? This person means the world to you. And then one day he says, what are you doing Friday? What do you think? Maybe we get together and have a cup of coffee and we talk. And you go, oh my God. Oh my God. I don't know what I'm going to wear. I don't know what I'm going to say. Man, I can't believe this. Like I've been in the dating scene in so long and now I feel like guess what? Right? Reach out. In the beginning, people, you know what your coping mechanism is? The lifeboat. In the beginning, your coping mechanism are all of the people here who care about you. Because the silliest, smallest, stupid, most insignificant stuff in the entire world will put you back on the bottle or back on the needle or back on the straw or whatever. But you're going to end up back in your drug of choice if you are uncomfortable in your own skin. And that discomfort doesn't have to be something that is bad. I promise you. We do just as poorly with good. And you've heard me say this a lot of times, but it's the truth. I'm going to use my brother Johnny because he's a really good sport. But Johnny's career is taking off in ways that he probably never thought it was going to happen, right? There are just some incredible things that are going on in his life. And he has asked me very specifically, to not share with everybody exactly what's going on. So I'm going to tell you anyway. Nah, I can't do that. Honestly, I'd love to, Boy, would I love to, but he
He-
would be really bent out of shape.
If he's watching, dude, his chin's on the floor already.
Yeah, his heart stopped.
He's like, oh God.
His heart stopped because I'm that guy. You know what I mean? Especially with it being my brother. I've been that guy for a long time.
That's awesome.
If you're not in the chat and just reading, joining it is perfectly safe. No one bites, not too hard anyway. Major, you know what? I'll tell you something. We go through ebb and flow, right? We've been doing this a long time, and you go through ebb and flow, and there are times where you feel like there are people who just come alive, right? There are people to whom, man, everything the Major has said in the last 4 or 5 shows has just absolutely been on point.
Yep.
I mean, he really has said just amazing things. And this is a good one. If you're listening, and you know what? We know you're listening. Because I can look at 13 names and I can see 50 people that are in the chat, right? So we know there's a lot of you that are just lurking. And that's fine. It really is. And if you're perfectly comfortable in life, you say, wow, the reason I don't join the chat is, honestly, right now I feel good, man. There's nothing in my life that's threatening my sobriety. So I really don't need to reach out at this point. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Because if everything in your life is going perfect, you know what you need to do? Help somebody whose life isn't perfect. You understand the principle behind what we do? We've said from the word go, we are not, air quotes, normal. And for that reason, we don't do very well with success any more than we do well with failure. If you're there and you're living a life right now and you're thinking, you know what, whether it's the boat or whether it's just you happen to be at a really good time in your life and the boat is just a part of it, and or life was perfect and then you found the boat, okay, give back. You don't have to get into your wallet. You don't have to pull out a credit card. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You need to pay it forward in the best possible way. And that's making sure that if there's somebody out there that wants to talk, you're there for them, right? It means that you have a handle on where you're at, and you'd like to share that with other people on the boat. It's essential. It really is, and the Major makes a good point. Another great example is, let's say we do 500 views tonight, right? If we do 500 views tonight, about 150 of them, maybe a little more, are going to come from people who don't hit the subscribe button. And you know why you don't hit the subscribe button? Because you're a junkie if you hit the subscribe button. Like, I can come and visit this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I could stop by and check this out because there are people there that, and then maybe I'll learn something along the way. But, man, I'm not like those people. You're like us.
It's like an admission when you hit that subscribe button.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a perfect way to put it. It is absolutely an admission, okay? I really am that guy. I really am that guy. I have a problem, and I realize that hitting that bell for notification and hitting the subscribe button all gets you very much involved, and it makes you real, it makes you a part of this. And I got news for you. There's nothing wrong with being a part of this. Don't put your toe in the water, right? Jump in it. Honestly, you're going to find that there is no payout in what we do that is better than helping somebody. I mean this. There is no payout better than helping individuals. And the saddest part of it is, people, you guys will give great advice and you'll do all kinds of really, really cool things to help people. And then you know what happens? Mark and I get the credit. No, he's got his little pup. Mark and I will end up getting the credit. And that's not what's supposed to happen. It really isn't. And this whole thing is not about credit. It really isn't. But it is. And what I mean by that is this. You're not keeping score. We're not trying to see who can save the most souls or any of that. But if you're interacting with somebody and that person can count on you, it's going to change who you are as a person. I promise you it is. Right? This is going to be one of those things that opens doors. And I'm not talking about this may get you a better job. Right? I'm talking about it's going to open doors in your life to find out who you are. There is something remarkable that happens when you realize that you help other people. When you become a more active member of a sobriety group, then the you're starting a process that you're never going to forget. On this, I promise you. But it's not going to happen if you're lurking. It's not going to happen if you're afraid to hit the subscribe button. You know what? Hit the damn subscribe button. Admit you're one of us. You are. If you weren't, you wouldn't be here. You know, Mark and I are not all that entertaining. Well, I am, but Mark's not. No, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's funny
Yeah,
you said that because
I had to take a shot at you, though. Come on.
That's all right. I put in the comment section earlier. Optic says I was cracking her up, and I said, "Well, that's why I'm here. I'm the comedy relief.
Right, the comic relief. Gotta have it.
Gotta have it, man. Gotta have it." And while you're taking that drink there, we'll give everybody a quick look at the dog. So I got a couple emails about that.
Sure.
Say hi. Whoop woo whoop woo. Her name is Puka Rose.
You know what? Puka's actually becoming a far quieter dog, which is nice. See, even Puka got the memo, right?
Yep. That's right.
The people we are a group of people that is so much more powerful than you realize you are, and unfortunately, we're letting it slide. And I'm not trying to chastise anybody more than you need. I'm really not. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not trying to do any of that. But I want the boat to reach its full potential. And I know that you guys want it to reach its full potential. And the way that is going to happen is if everybody involved gets involved, right? If you take a more personal responsibility in your own sobriety and in the sobriety of others. The more that you can get involved, the better off you're going to be. You know, this doesn't end in 59 minutes and 59 seconds, right? This continues long after the boat stops. We joke about it, but this is a 59-minute fix for a lot of people on the lifeboat. This hour that we spend here helps focus, helps clarify. And on the same token, I had a couple of people reach out that said, sometimes when I'm here, some of the conversations actually just make me want to use, and for that, I feel like it makes me a little nervous, and maybe I should back out for a little bit. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. I'd like to suggest maybe a better one. Okay. But it's not a bad idea. The better idea would be to say, hey, you know what? When we have these conversations, I feel like it makes me want to drink a little bit. And I thought I would tell you people that, because it's going to start a dialogue from people who go, you know what? I felt the exact same way, but what I found is this, right? And everybody's going to start communicating, because what happens is, let's say something happens on this boat, and I say to myself, well, it makes me a little bit uncomfortable, so I'm going to back away. Would you like me to reverb that? Would you like me to put that into different English so that you can understand it? Because what I'm saying is this. I find this, it makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable, and it kind of makes me think about my drug of choice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go away, and I'm not going to talk to anybody about it, and I'm going to bottle it up inside me. And that, no doubt, will make things better. Right? Wrong. Right? That's never happened. People, I can't beat this drum enough. I can't beat this drum enough. My bobbleheaded partner cannot beat this drum enough. The mods that we have, nobody can make a big enough deal out of the fact that we stay sober, we live our best life, and we have a potential for amazing things to happen if we communicate, right? If we come out of pocket and we say exactly what's going on in our life, then that's when you're at your best. This entire concept is people leaning on one another and asking for help, right? Hey, I'm hurting. I'll start the show. You want me to get this thing kicked off? People, I got about an hour and a half of sleep last night. I really did. I got about an hour and a half of sleep last night, and then I got up this morning and I had to start doing my watch business. And by the grace of God, it's on fire. We went through a bit of a lull, and every time that happens, my blood pressure goes up, my anxiety goes up. Oh God, did we run out of luck? And then the orders start coming in again, right? I need to talk about those things when I'm feeling like, man, I wish my business was doing a little better because it was doing so good a week ago. And I kind of set the bar in my head, unrealistically, but I kind of set the bar in my head that this is what was going to be happening week after week after week. And when it doesn't, I find myself in an odd position where I start feeling like, man, I'm doing something wrong. You know what I mean? I'm doing something wrong. I'm not doing a damn thing different. Nothing. I haven't changed the business model in any way. But all of a sudden it starts feeling different. You know my job? Of course you do. My job is to tell you people how I'm feeling. Let me explain this. I've explained it 500 times, right? In 500 ways. So let's go for 502. The reason that we use is because we hold stuff inside. The reason that we use is because we do not communicate. The reason that we use is because we do not ask for help. The reason that we use is because we do not help others, which is the ultimate payout. If somebody says, you know what, Captain, I really feel like I'm slipping and things are going bad, and I say, hey, why don't you tell me what's making you feel that way? Maybe you could tell me how long that's been happening. I don't have to have answers, right? We talk about this every day. All I got to have is questions. Where have you been? Get over here. All I got to do is ask the right questions. I don't have to have the right answers. There you are. But when it comes right down to it, our job on this channel is communication. Our job on this channel is to lean on one another in every situation. It doesn't have to be drug related. Somebody reached out to me yesterday and said, I am having a very, very bad time talking about small stuff, turns small stuff into disasters. Not talking about small stuff, turns small stuff into disasters. You're damn right. And why? Because when we don't talk about it, what do? Think about it. You know what we do? Honestly, we give ourselves advice. Who is the worst person to give you advice? You.
Your own head. Yep.
Your own head. Boy, I'm telling you. You know where my advice landed me? Federal prison. When I started listening to myself, boy, you know what? I'm in a financial bind. I owe this guy $2,000 and my rent is $2,000 and it's taken me $2,000 a week minimum to I got to figure out, I need like $6,000, man, and I need it yesterday. And instead of going and talking to people, one of whom might have said, you were a public speaker. I know a guy that's hiring public speakers right now, man. You could be making 15 grand a week. No, that's not what happened. I said, I'll bet you I could pull off a bank.
Yep.
I bet you I could do it. I mean, I've stolen from other stores, right? I never get caught. I'm good. I get in, I get out, I take things. And not to sound racist or anything else, right? Or elitist or anything else. But if I put on a shirt and a tie, I really don't look the part, right? So I thought, well, if I dress up a little bit, I could walk into a bank. I could just tell them I want all the money and they're probably going to give it to me. And I'll bet you I could get out of there. Great advice, right? Great advice. Well, that's Tommy Scoville getting Tommy Scoville advice. Do you think if I asked anybody in my life what I should do, they would have said rob a bank? Huh? If so, I need to get that jackwagon out of my Rolodex, right?
Exactly.
But nobody would have said that to me, people. Nobody would have said that to me. The only reasons that we do not reach out are a couple. There's a limited number. One, you're going to hear people say, I'm just not all that comfortable talking to other people. Okay, text them. Text them. They're not going to look at you. For all they know, you're a guy or a girl. They don't even know. Trust me, right? Ask Mark. I screw this up 5 times a day. I don't know who any of you are. Seriously, spit out a name. I don't know whether you're a man or a woman. I'm really bad at this. But the anonymity of what we do on the boat takes that away. I'm just not a person who's comfortable talking to someone. You don't talk to someone. You text them. They don't know where you live. They don't know how old you are. They don't know what you do for work. They don't know if you have any kids. They don't know your gender. Think about it, right? The reason that this is genius is because we have taken away all of the things that could keep somebody from asking for help. We have taken away all of the impediments that make it so that, well, I'm not comfortable doing that. I'm not comfortable doing that. Shut up. I'm sorry. Shut up. There is nothing about this that's uncomfortable. It's a text, people, right?
Yeah.
Go into one of the chats and text. And you know what? As you start to build relationships with these people, you might just find that you want to talk to them. Maybe you'd like to hear their voice. Maybe you would like to hear the compassion in their voice, because you don't always get that, even if they say something really lovely in a comment.
Yeah, Chuck makes a comment here I think we should probably talk about for a second.
Okay.
Says, yes, I'm there, maybe further than disaster. I don't like asking for help because I don't ever want to be a burden on others, and I feel like others just don't care, even though that's false, thanks to my ex. Now, there's a lot of underlying issues there right off the bat, and that's
sure.
And I think that, believe it or not, that's a very common feeling, because as recovering addicts, I think that we carry a lot of guilt that we don't need to, and I think that's where a lot of that comes from. And what Tommy's speaking about here, as far as, hey, you got the anonymity, you guys got to think about it in this direction too. We're taking one of the most negative parts of the internet, the anonymity, because trolls use it all the time. So why not take that and turn it right back around on all that crap and use it for a positive thing? And that's exactly what we're doing here.
And we have.
Yeah.
Right? And we absolutely have. And I'll tell you something, Chuck. I'm not putting you on blast. I'm not, because I love you. And for all I know, Chuck, you're a woman, right? I mean, I have no idea who any of these people are.
Avatar's
right?
a guy.
I think with Chuck, I'm probably safe, right? But you never know. But here's the thing, Chuck. You're right. You're right. Nobody wants to be burdened by somebody else's problems. Nobody wants to hear that. Unless, of course, they're on the lifeboat.
Yep.
Right? You show up on this channel and you are saying when you step onto the deck of this boat, I'm here for you. And I hope that you're here for me. You understand? That's what we do. And why? Because we understand. We understand that you feel like a burden when you ask for advice or you ask for help. Or guess what? This is the backbone of everything we do. You know, I'm sure that my bobble-headed partner feels slightly punched in the stomach. I do.
Yeah.
Honestly. Mm-hmm. This is what we do. This is how we've put this together. This has been the plan. And you know what, people? It's friggin' working. It really is. I mean, it's not working for everybody. It's not. You know who it doesn't work for? Those that don't use it. Right? We used to joke all the time. I sold business opportunities, and I used to say to people, I'm going to give you a roadmap. It is going to be step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Step 5, you do 14 days on the first one, you do 8 days on the second one, you do 9 days on the third one. And I would finish all of that with, and if you fail, I'm glad. I'm glad. Because if I say to you, okay, you take the milk, you put 6 ounces of it in a glass, then you squeeze in 3 ounces of Hershey's syrup. You then take a metal spoon, you put it in, and you stir until the white liquid becomes brown. And you want to make sure that there's nothing sticking to the side of the glass or the bottom. And when all of that is no longer there, you have made chocolate milk. If you can't follow those instructions, you should hit yourself in the head with a tack hammer, right? Because they're pretty damn basic, right? Anybody can follow those expressions. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay. This is no different here. This is no different here. What are you running to? Or what are you running from? the amazing thing is you're here. You're listening to myself and you're listening to my bobble-headed partner. And you're not doing it because we're entertaining. You're doing it because you're searching for a better life. And the better life doesn't involve sticking needles in your arms. The better life does not involve waiting in parking lots to buy dope, right? You want a life that is devoid of all of those things and somehow can still make you feel good about who you are, right? You're going to rise above and you're going to prove to yourself that you can be happy without chemicals. But I'm going to do it through friggin' osmosis, right?
Right.
I'm going to get on the boat. I'm not going to say a thing to anybody. If I'm feeling crappy, I'm not going to tell anybody because what I'm hoping is that somebody else, that somebody else is going to ask the exact same thing that I need, and I can quietly sit and listen to the advice that that person's going to get. Because that way, I don't have to put myself out there at all, and I just might get a little through osmosis. If that's your plan, go ahead and get that tack hammer, right? Whack yourself in the head with it a few times. We have put together a plan, and I'm proud as hell of it. I really am. Because the plan was ours. That's about as far as we can take credit for, right? The plan belonged to myself and my bobble-headed partner. Then you guys ran with it, right? You guys turned it into what it is now. But you're not going to succeed unless you are running in the correct direction. For those of you who believe in a higher power, before you come to the boat and you do anything else, run to God. Right? Run to God. I promise you. If you believe in a higher power, start this off with a prayer. Pray that you are going to get the answers that you need on the lifeboat. Okay? For those of you who do not believe in a higher power, skip that part of the instruction. Right? Just show up at the lifeboat. And if you're feeling a little bit off, I don't care what the off is. I just told you people, I didn't sleep well last night. I'll be honest with you, that makes me grumpy. I don't do very well when I'm grumpy, right? So I've probably been short with a couple of people today, and I apologize for that. But you know why I'm saying that here? Because I keep really short accounts of me being an ass.
Yep, me too.
When I start being an ass, I want to make sure that the world knows I'm being an ass, because by saying that out loud, it's difficult for me to continue doing it.
Accountability.
Does that make sense?
Accountability, man. And the second part that you said earlier, he was talking about you can use that as a justification. You said, well, if I come here, I kind of feel bad for asking and all this other, that part of it, Chuck. And then the second one Tommy was saying was, well, then we turn around and ask for the same kind of help. So then you can give it. So that's kind of a justification and to kind of soften that little guilt that we might have about maybe taking somebody's time or whatever. Just know that when there'll come a time, if you stick around here long enough, you may be called upon to step up for a second and talk to somebody. Right. And that's how you can kind of justify asking for it if you need to do that. You don't need justification, okay, to come here and do that. But if you have to tell yourself that you're going to give back a little bit, that's enough, man. It really is. And I get that feeling. I really honestly do. Because sometimes...
It makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, we don't want to, get something for nothing. That's kind of how you feel when you're doing that kind of thing. And it's even stronger for us that are in recovery and been through addiction. Because we carry so much of that with us. And, I don't want to forget all of it, ever. I don't want to dwell on it. But I don't want to forget that it happened. Because that's what keeps me from letting it happen again. And...
Yeah. So, yeah. You nailed it. Horton says, I need a third arm to pat myself on the back. I quit drinking cold turkey 6 days ago. Feeling frisky now. I'll tell you something. You need more than a third arm to pat you on the back.
That's a big
deal. Something? You're dropping the ball if you don't do exactly what he just did.
Yep.
Right? Because it's not good enough, right, to do that. You have to get a positive feeling off of doing that. And you know how you get that? when people go, I don't know about you people, but toss a 1 up there right now for Wharton, because I'm proud as hell of him.
Yep.
Right? Everybody virtually pat that man on the back, because
right.
He needs the reward center of his brain to start acting the way it's supposed to. So when we go like this, yeah, what I'm talking about. That's why we're here, right? We're here to congratulate you for what you just did, so that the reward center of your brain goes like this. Hey, have a little dopamine.
There you go.
Because when that begins to happen, we all of a sudden start getting, air quotes, normal. Nothing wrong with coming here and saying, I'd like a little recognition.
That's right.
Brandon is still staying sober. And you know what, Brandon? You deserve some recognition. Proud of you, my brother. I really am. That's a huge part of this. Now, quit being greedy, Chuck. You come here and you say, I feel weird asking for stuff. Well, guess why I'm here? I'm here hoping you're going to ask for stuff. So if you people don't come here and ask those questions, well, then you're screwing over me and Mark.
Taking a blessing from us. You really are.
Right? You are ripping off a blessing from not just us, but from other people. I know other people who come here for no other reason than to support you. So if you're sitting there in silence thinking, well, I don't want to ask for help, or I don't want to put people out. Yeah, well, you're screwing us over, right? You're stealing the reason we're here. Is that making sense, people?
I hope it is. And when you do finally get yourself to where you can come here and say that, again, that is another layer of accountability that you now have. Because now you've told everybody, hey, I'm this, and it can help drive you to stay that way. And, it really can. So, and the encouragement that you're just going to get every time you come back here. A lot of times you don't have to come here and say, hey, I'm 7 days sober or 6 days sober. We're going to know next time, hey, how are you doing? Are you still, people are going to ask that. And that's usually what happens. So, and it's a good thing. That is a good thing. And it's not like, it's not abrasive recovery is what I call it. It's just one of those things. There's a place for abrasive. We do that here sometimes too. But in that instance, when you're early in recovery like that, you do need people to say, hey, you're doing good. You're doing good. You might not be perfect yet. You may never, ever be perfect, because I'm not. But you're doing good. You're going the right direction. You're either, like Tommy said earlier, you're either moving forward or back at all times. All time. You're not just standing still. You can't. It's impossible to do that. So it's okay to move back a little bit if you're going to go forward 2 more steps when you're done. So you got to be able to recognize that, and we're the people that can say it to you in a way that you might have a better understanding, because we understand where you're coming from, and we're going to give you that kind of a pass on some of those things that rest of society won't. They won't do it because they've already thrown us out with the trash. Well,
damn right they have.
Damn
right they have. As far as they're concerned, we're defective.
Yep.
The fact that there are, let's see here, the fact that there are 61 people here tonight who are here to support one another so that we can all live our best life and stay sober. I want to tell you something. Go find me 61 normal people who will take 1 hour out of their day to get together to see if they can make 60 other people's lives better. You know what? You got a better chance of crapping a Tiffany diamond than seeing that happen, because the air quotes normal people, they don't feel like they need anything but themselves. They don't feel like, I love my kids and I love this and I love that. But try getting one of those people just to go to a PTA meeting. Back in the day, I went and I did a couple of these things at schools. Well, a long time ago, when we were first starting to talk about the ounce of prevention. The internet wasn't even cooking yet. Do you know how hard it was to get parents to show up and listen to me talk to them about drugs and how to raise a drug-free kid? Couldn't be bothered. Why? Well, because they'd rather be at home eating a 5-pound bag of Oreos and watching I Love Lucy, right? Because in their head, they got it together. The beautiful thing about the people on this boat is they know they don't have it together. They're trying. They really are. They're trying. And you know what we're doing? We're putting into place a system that works. What are you running toward? Are you running toward a solution or are you hiding? And you know what? I'm not picking on Chuck, but for the love of God, my brother, please, please reach out to us, to everybody on this boat. Reach out to us. Don't steal from me the satisfaction I get from helping, right? Who are you to do that?
Yeah.
Who are you to do that? I'll tell you something. Yesterday, we did a show where we talked about some stuff that was hard, man. We had a hard day yesterday.
That was a hard one.
And a lot of you reached out and said, man, I just couldn't do what you do, man. There's no way I could do that. Of course you could. You're here every day.
Yep, you're doing it.
You're here every day. So what you mean is you'd rather not be filmed. But you're here every day doing the exact same thing we are. So don't tell me that you couldn't do what we do, right? Because I can rip off the names of you that are here every single day. And you're not here just for you. You're not. It's what makes this so unbelievable. You're here to make sure that nobody is going to hurt in silence. That if somebody needs something, if somebody needs a leg up, or if you're Wharton and you just need that third hand patting you on the back. I would like to see 55 sets of hands on his back.
Yeah, be awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's what we need to see. When Wharton leaves tonight, he should be walking on sunshine.
Yep.
He should be absolutely flying without drugs. Because he's going to realize that, you know what, there's a lot of people out here that care about me. You know what, damn it, I am doing good. Damn it, I am doing good. You know, it's why the rest of the world sucks. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had 42 years sober, and then he went and drank and blew all of that. You think you're going to hear that from somebody that's in recovery? Man, he didn't blow squat. He made a mistake.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
And you know what we're going to do? We're going to hug you. We're going to virtually hug. Every single person here is going to go, hey, man, don't beat yourself up over that. I know you're going to. I know you're going to. You're going to beat yourself up. It's the nature of the beast. But don't you dare on this boat say that you blew 42 years of sobriety.
That's right.
What, you went back and got crap-faced for the last 42 years? Huh? You went back and shot dope 42 years since the last time I talked to you? Well, no, you didn't blow anything, did you? You made a mistake. And unlike the rest of the world, we're going to understand that mistake. We're going to pat you on the back. We're going to give you a virtual high five. We're going to tell you that we love you. And then we're going to hold you accountable to make sure that when you're here tomorrow night, you're not using. Because we don't want you to blow those 42 years. Right? Exactly. It's possible. It's possible.
You can.
Right?
Yeah.
Tie one on for 3 weeks.
That's
start
close.
to do some damage to those 42 years.
Yep. You're getting your mental, and what you're doing damage to there, the mental aspect of the addiction is back at that point. It's not just a trigger. It's not just something a one-off. But yeah, guys, and Miss V makes a really good comment here. I like it anyway. It says we have a lighthouse to help the lifeboat, and that's exactly what it kind of is. It truly is. Just because me and Tommy are here on this boat, you guys are here with us. You guys are the ones shining the light. Me and Tommy might have the light in our hand, kind of moving it back and forth or whatever, but that's about where it ends, and we do, obviously we're part of that light too. I'm not going to leave us out of that because we are. And something else too, before I forget this, I started a new hashtag in the title. I'm not sure if anybody's seen that. It's called Find Your Five. Start hashtagging that everywhere and see if you guys like that. See if it gets some people over here. Find your five.
Find your five.
Yep.
I'll tell you something else, people. You don't know. You don't have a clue when you're going to say something, right? You're a lurker. You're someone that doesn't say much or whatever, and you're going to say something. And you know what? If I told thee what she said 2 days ago, that literally threw me down. Tossed me back in my seat. And if I said it to you right now, if I told the whole crew what she said, all of you would go, why is that a big deal? And I'm not sure that I could explain it to you, but it was a huge deal. V, I love you. I really do. And you said something that, man, I needed to hear it. And I hope that the other person that needed to hear it heard it. But if they didn't, I heard it. and it was absolutely amazing. The number of people that you can learn from on this boat every single day. But you got to be here, you got to be listening, and you got to be caring. You got to be caring for your fellow man. You know what? We're not normal. We have a disease. We have a disease. But I'll tell you something. Don't you, and I love you, Chuck. I'm not picking on you. Well, I am, but I'm picking on everybody. Don't ever bring that, well, I don't want to bother crap ever again. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, man. Don't you steal from those of us who are here to help.
That's right.
How dare you, right?
And
How dare you?
And if you want to pay,
my drug of choice. You understand? That's Mark's drug of choice. That's what we get high on, is when somebody comes here and says, hey, I'm hurting. This is what's bothering me. This is what happened today. And when we can say, you know what? Let's talk about this, right? Let's look at the worst case scenario. Let's look at the best case scenario. Let's do the perspective, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is I couldn't find my left shoe this morning, driving me crazy before I could leave the house. Right is I completely relapsed and spent 5 years getting high again, right? One of those is real bad. One of those seems insignificant. Where does the other one fall on that? Because it's difficult for us to detach ourselves enough from our emotional stance on any one subject to have any perspective, right? Normal people, air quotes, they have the ability to do that. But we shut down our EQ for a lot of years. So sometimes we need a little help with some perspective. We need a little help reminding us exactly who we are, where we came from, and where we are now. And you know what? You're not going to get that in the real world. You're going to get it here. Am I bragging about the boat? You damn right I am. Right? You damn right I am. Because there's nothing else out there like this, people. I promise you there's not. And you know what? Prove me wrong. Tell me there's somebody else out there doing the same thing. Because you know what? We'll go there. For real. You don't think I'll work 1 hour a day to go visit them? You're crazy. You find 2 of them, I'll do 3 hours a day between us and them. Because this is magic. This heals. This clarifies. This helps people live their best life. Right. Not if you're going to lurk and not say anything. Not if you're going to think, well, I don't want to bother anybody. I don't want to burden anybody with anything that's going on. We're here in hopes that you're going to burden us.
Yep.
We started this in hopes that if you were feeling that way, you were going to unload on it. And I'm not going to lie to you. I've said this on the boat before. If your drug of choice is alcohol, then I don't understand that. I mean, I understand addiction, but I don't understand that. But I'll tell you something. I know what it feels like when that little rubber thing hits the bottom of a syringe, right? I know what it feels like when the plunger hits the bottom of a syringe. And Chuck, when somebody comes here and says, I'm hurting and here's why, and we're able to give you advice and you come back and say, you know what, I feel better. There's never been a plunger that has touched the bottom of a syringe that made that feeling. Nothing has ever been that good. So for those of you who go, why do you do this? That's why we do this. Yep. We do this because that is our high. So do me a favor. Don't steal our high, right? Don't pinch it. Don't do anything to it. Don't come here. If you're hurting, let us know about it. If you feel like you need a little bit of assistance, tell us about it. If you feel like you need a lot of assistance, tell us about it. Don't suffer in silence. Come here and become part of this. You will see this place grow. You will see more people start to do what you're doing. Everything that happens on this boat is not just an event. It's an invitation to somebody else that was feeling just like Chuck was. Yep. Yeah, I don't even know these people. I'm not gonna go here and shut up with that. Right? Get here and tell us what's going on. And I want the rest of you. I don't care if it's your first day here, man. Tell us what's going on. And if we're coming up on the top of the hour, we don't have time, then I got news for you. We're real easy to find.
That's right.
We're real easy to find. Reach out to us. Give us an opportunity to get high, right, without a substance. Give us an opportunity to enjoy our drug of choice, because I promise you, That's what does it for us. Why do you guys do this?
That's why.
That's why we do this.
Right.
All right. We ran a little late.
Who cares?
But you know what? This was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What are you running toward, people? Are you running towards your problems? Are you running away from them? Are you running toward help? Or are you running away from it? Are you running toward booze? Or are you running toward the boat? Right? Seriously, ask yourself that question. And if you feel like you're about to screw up, man, there's enough emails out there. And I promise you that within a week, there's going to be a place you can go and talk to a generic 5 that may end up being your permanent 5. Right? Maybe you'll get to know some people who volunteer this way and they'll become part of that crew that you can call. But it's a great world when you know that there are 5 people out there you can call when you're hurting. I promise you the world gets better. All right? We're going to be back tomorrow night. It's going to be the same squirrel time. It's going to be the same squirrel channel. And you know what? You guys are going to come here, and if there's something on your mind, you're not going to think, I don't want to bother anybody. You know, it's not really their business. If it wasn't their business, they'd be watching the Kardashians. You feel me? They'd be looking at cat videos. Right. Everything here is our business. Everything here is your business. This is the Sobriety family. We chose it, right? Can't choose your own family? You can here. So thank you for letting us talk to you. Thank you for coming here and telling us what your problems are. Thank you, right, for being the boat, because we're just a couple of guys here, man. Thank you for being the boat. It means the world to us. We're going to be back tomorrow night, and we're going to have some fun. I predict laughs. I really do. If you happen to be the person that sent me this mug, God bless you, man. You made my day. You really did. I'm going to be drinking out of this a lot, and every time I do, I'm going to think about the people on this boat, and that means a lot to me. And if you sent me one of these shirts, then God bless that as well. You people are the best. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. And on the other side of the glass,
Captain Mark Wages.
And that's a cat in a basket. Good night, everybody. We love you.